Good Monday afternoon, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille Show. Thank you kindly for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to connect with you guys through this platform. We are live in Charlottesville, across Albemarle County, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network, presented by Scott Wagner, Integrated Medicine. Dr. Wagner, changing people's lives, and of course, Ting Fiber Internet, the best internet humanly possible, powering and presenting this network, boys and girls. A lot to cover on today's program, including Mayor Nakia Walker announcing a re-election run, a move we anticipated, we've been predicting for a year plus on this network. We will take a deep dive into Mayor Nakia Walker's decision to run for re-election, including hearing from the mayor on today's program. We will discuss on today's show Mountain View Elementary School and an overcrowding problem of epic proportions. If you were a mom and dad of a rising fifth grader at Mountain View Elementary and you found out that your son or daughter was going to have to go learn in a middle school setting, ride a bus longer than ever before, go to a school that does not have a library equipped for fifth graders, go to a school that does not have a playground equipped for fifth graders, moms and dads of Mountain View Elementary students, you have a right to be irritated, frustrated, and downright pissed off with Albemarle County and its leadership. We will talk about Mountain View Elementary and an overcrowding problem that is sending students to another school altogether. And you know what is compounding this problem? The county of Albemarle is legitimately considering adding 85 additional rooftops right next to Mountain View, putting even more pressure on the elementary school from an enrollment standpoint. Folks, this is piss poor municipality management at its absolute finest. On Thursday of this week, I will welcome a parent of Mountain View Elementary, Paul MacArthur. He lives right next to the school. His daughter goes to the school, and he is leading the charge with this parent body in the school saying, what is going on? Paul said if this was happening in Ivy at Meriwether Elementary, it would never get to this point. However, in the south side of Charlottesville, where the students that are most likely to be displaced, Southwood, English as a second language student body population, Southwood, the county is trying to ramrod and bamboozle fifth graders and their parents into an acceptable decision of taking their kids from an elementary school into a middle school. I'm going to take a deep dive on what this is going to do to 115 fifth graders at Mountain View Elementary this coming academic year. A lot to cover on today's program, boys and girls, including a UVA volleyball scandal that is James Bond-esque. The volleyball team takes a trip to Miami, Florida. The volleyball team is downright horrendous, barely winning any games on the season. The players are upset. The coaches are upset. The coaches choose to have a 3-hour closed-door meeting in a South Beach hotel room. During this 3-hour closed-door meeting in this South Beach hotel room, volleyball players at the University of Virginia take their iPhones and their Androids out, and they attack the closed-door meeting by using the record function on their phones. They put the phone up on the crack of the door on the bottom. They put the phone on the side of the door, the crack by the doorknob. They put the phone on the drywall in the room next door and the room on the other side. And they secretly record their coaches talking about the season, and then they use the recordings to their advantage, at least they think, with the University of Virginia administration. A few days later, the volleyball season is canceled, all the coaches are fired, and the student athletes go from athletes to just students. Yes, all that happened with the volleyball team at the University of Virginia. Those details in about 10 minutes on the I Love CVille show. That parking garage on Market Street and the site of Lucky 7 in Guadalajara, a parking garage somewhere in the vicinity of $10 to $15 million, it's back in play. My sources in City Hall say staff is pushing the parking garage harder than ever before. We will take a deep dive into a $10 to $15 million parking garage and whether or not it is necessary in this time, a post-COVID world. We're also going to talk on macro topics like 9 states in our free union have 70% adults completely or partially vaccinated. You heard me correctly. There are 9 states in the free union that have 70% of their adults either partially or fully vaccinated. Folks, COVID numbers are at all-time lows. All-time lows. There's a restaurant in Chicago. This could be something you see in Charlottesville, a restaurant in Chicago that has divided its dining room in half. And if you can show proof of vaccination at this Windy City eatery, you're able to go to one half of the restaurant, the right side. They give you a pink bracelet, and you're able to enjoy the right side of that restaurant without a mask, with no COVID restrictions, with no social distancing. However, if you go to this Windy City eatery and you cannot show proof of vaccination, you have to go to the left side of the restaurant. And on the left side of the restaurant, you have to wear your mask, you have to stay 6 feet apart from people, and you have to maintain all COVID rules and regulations while dining inside the establishment. Is this the future of eateries in our country? I'm going to use this example in the Windy City and ask, do we expect this to happen in Charlottesville, Virginia? Time will tell. That topic in about 15 minutes on the I Love CVille Show. There's a pink and purple diamond that just sold for $29.3 million. We have a picture of it. When you see this diamond, you're going to be like, good Lord. It is the nicest ring I have ever seen in my entire life. And the price tag that goes with it, $29.3 million, reflects its ridiculous beauty. Judah Wickhauer is the phenomenal director of this program, the North Star of the I Love CVille Network. Judah Wickhauer, good Monday afternoon to you, sir. Why don't we start with the news that we predicted, Judah, will happen. Get the sound ready to go. I'll give you a countdown. Mayor Walker is running again. I told you this would happen. It's her primary source of income, the $20,000 she gets every year to be the mayor. Yes, $20K per year, her primary source of income. Prior to getting elected, she worked part-time in the Parks and Recs department at the city of Charlottesville. Mayor Walker has a very good chance of winning re-election. I've said on this program, there are many elements of Mayor Walker that I admire, including her hustle, her chutzpah, her courage, her willingness to take risks and put herself out there. You know how few folks are willing to run for public office because of the time needed, the courage needed, the vulnerability showcased? When you're in public office, half the people are going to like you, half the people are going to dislike you, and that's a best case scenario. I will repeat that. When you're an elected official, half the community will like you, and half the people will dislike you, and that's the best case scenario. Best case scenario. The reality, it's probably more 65 dislike you and 35% like you. But because voter turnout is so piss poor these days, 35% liking you can get you in office. Here are the questions before we play the sound for Mayor Walker's announcement. Question number 1. Jerry, what do you think the odds are that Mayor Walker will be reelected in November of this year in the general election? Boys and girls, I think the odds are over 50%. So far, the I Love CVille crystal ball has predicted everything exactly correct. And the I Love CVille crystal ball is predicting this, boys and girls. Juan Diego Wade, first place in the Democratic primary. Carl Brown and Brian Pinkston going to be an absolute toss-up, those two. An absolute toss-up between Pinkston and Brown. I think Wade a clear-cut one in the Democratic ticket. When the Democratic primary is over on the 8th of June, you will see Juan Wade and either Pinkston or Brown compete against Yaz Washington and Mayor Nakia Walker in the general election. Betting against an incumbent with name recognition in a massive social media following like she has is not good in smart business. If you considered Mr. Brian Pinkston's social media following and Mr. Carl Brown's social media following, and you combine them together, they are a fraction of Mayor Nakia Walker's social media following. Never underestimate the advantage an incumbent has in an election at any level. Any level. Judah, get that sound ready to go. Other questions we should consider today. If the mayor is reelected for a second term on council, what is the likelihood that her peers on council will vote her the mayor again? Folks, the likelihood of that is very little. So here are the predictions the I Love CVille crystal ball is making. I predicted the mayor would run again. I was right. My second prediction is Juan Diego Wade, clear-cut first place in the Democratic primary. My third prediction, Brian Pinkston narrowly edges Carl Brown in the Democratic primary. That will yield a Wade-Pinkston Democratic ticket. In the general election, Wade, Pinkston, Yaz Washington, and Nakia Walker go toe-to-toe. My next prediction, Wade and Walker win the general. And my last prediction before you hear from the mayor here on the I Love CVille show is the 5 folks on the dais at the start of the 2020 calendar year will not vote Nakia Walker mayor again. And that's going to be an interesting pill she's going to need to swallow. Her 4 years on the dais, she was the mayor all 4 years. It's done in 2-year increments. She got the first 2 years and she got the next 2 years. I'm telling you right now, the likelihood of her getting named the mayor in 2022 is single-digit percentage likely. Regardless, I got 3 minutes of sound and video for you from Mayor Nakia Walker from Friday afternoon's announcement, which we predicted correctly right here on the I Love CVille show. Judah Wickower in 3, Judah Wickower in 2, Judah Wickower in 1. Play it right now.
As I have thought over the past few months about what does a next step look like for me, where do I best, fit in, questioning everything, especially the willingness of people in this world to actually confront themselves and change, I get back to the same point over and over again. Something comes up and shows me that you can't quit. And then I have this debate about, yes, I can choose myself first because I've never chosen myself first and I want to choose me. And then I get right back into but it's not about you. And you're in this world too. And your kids are in this world and they will have kids. And your nieces and your nephews and your friends, they will have kids. And what does that mean for the long term? And if other people have given up, you wouldn't have had the opportunity. And what will giving up show people who have been inspired because you've been here? So that's where I'm at. I'm not choosing me, even though I'm exhausted. My hair is turning gray. Someone asked me last night, what is your body telling you? And my body is telling me that you all will destroy me. But then there's a flip side to all the people who I talk to when I see them randomly. I don't know, who said, I'm a little bit more comfortable about this world because I get to watch you in it. So I'm just going to go with that. I don't know where it's going to lead. I am tired. But we have to continue. All of that energy that most of us just got around 2017, this is not just about us. This whole world is watching this community to see what we're going to do, to see what we're willing to do, to see if the same kind of white people that are here, that have made it such a challenge all around this world, if they can be moved in a different direction. I'm not going to stop talking about race. I'm not going to temper it, because I have to send black kids out my door. And I don't know what that will always mean. I have not been, I've been hopeful that there is someone, and maybe that someone will show themselves during this election cycle, who will pick up and who will be more strategic and who will get Charlottesville to move in that direction. And I don't have to be here. But I think we're going to have to see. Okay? So I'm here. I'm staying. I'm running. Hope y'all with me. Because one person can't do this, as you all know. And let's get it done.
That's Mayor Nakia Walker with her announcement from Friday. That's a portion of her announcement from Friday afternoon. Katie, we will get to your comment here a matter of moments. In fact, why don't I answer Katie Pearl's comment right now? If you have questions, comments, concerns, ideas, thoughts, perspective on any of the topics right there on the rundown on the right, put them in the feed, and I will get to that perspective on air. Katie Pearl asked this question, and I appreciate this question from you, Katie. I love when you chime in on the show, Katie, frankly. I don't understand, she says, how the election works. Does the council have to elect her for her to officially become mayor? Very, very good question, Katie. This is how city council election works. You have a Democratic primary. The city of Charlottesville is a stranglehold municipality. It's monopolized by the Democratic Party. The last Republican to be on council was Rob Schilling. That was over 10 years ago. Hell, when was Rob Schilling on council? Let me do a quick Google search on that. Rob Schilling was on council. Quick Google search. Rob Schilling is a former Charlottesville city councilor, the last Republican to sit on that body. He was 2006 election for city council. Schilling announced plans for re-election in 2006. On May 2006, Schilling came in third behind Dave Norris and Julian Telefaro. So 2006. So we're talking 15 years, right? 15 years plus over here. The last Republican to serve on council, Rob Schilling. So here's how it works, Katie. There's a Democratic primary that we'll know the results of the Democratic primary on June 8th. We have Juan Diego Wade, Brian Pinkston, and Carl Brown running as Democrats. There's 2 open seats. Heather Hill's seat is up for re-election. She is not running again. Mayor Nakia Walker's seat is up for re-election. She is running again. Because there's 2 open seats, the Democratic Party has to take their list of 3 people and whittle it down to 2 people. That's what's going to happen on the 8th, the Democratic primary, June 8th. Once the Democratic primary is done and the Democratic Party says, here are our 2 people, I mean, they're men running, so here are 2 men that are going to go to the general election. Those 2 guys are going to head to the general, where they will face 2 independents. The 2 independents they will face are Yaz Washington and Nakia Walker. In early November, I think it's November 4th this year, I'd have to look at the math, but in early November, the general election will determine the winners, the 2 winners of the 2021 council race. My prediction is it's probably going to be Juan Diego Wade and Nakia Walker again. Those 2 folks will join the 3 counselors that have 2 more years of tenure, Lloyd Snook, Michael Payne, and Cena McGill. Michael Payne, Cena McGill, Lloyd Snook, and whoever wins the general election, 5 people altogether, those 5 people vote and determine who the mayor is going to be. We, the populace, do not determine the mayor. We, the populace, determine who is on the dais. The people that are on the dais then pick the mayor themselves. My reasoning why Nakia Walker will not be the mayor if she wins re-election is very clear-cut and straightforward. Over the last 6 months, she has thrown Lloyd Snook, Cena McGill, and Michael Payne 110% under the bus, straight up calling them racists and supremacists, okay, in one way or another. And she may now sidestep those comments, but those are facts. What I just said is actual facts. She may, for the sake of politics, try to backtrack from those statements and say, I didn't call him a racist or a supremacist, but I know those individuals well, and that's how they feel. Snook, Payne, and McGill, 3 people, are the majority of a 5-person council. I find it difficult to believe that 3 people, Snook, Payne, and McGill, would vote Mayor Nakia Walker mayor again after she called them racist and white supremacists. Seems pretty logical to me. The next wrinkle or layer to this onion is if the mayor gets reelected, she's on the dais, and she does not have the title of mayor, how is she going to respond to not having the control? How will she respond to not being the top elected official in a 10.2 square mile city? That, my friends, is the next layer to this onion. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please put them in the feed. I believe, and I think I did. Brian Pinkston is confirmed for Friday. Brian Pinkston, I'm responding to your Facebook message right now. Sounds good, Brian. We can't wait to see you. Brian Pinkston on Friday's show. Questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Jay-Z Kirby, Katie says, got it. It's our pleasure to explain it. Jay-Z Kirby has a comment. If Mayor Walker steps down, if she steps down and not be in council because she can't be mayor, will truly show how much she cares about the city versus how much she cares about herself. I believe if you could buy her for what she's with and sell her for what she thinks she's worth, you could retire. Jay-Z Kirby, there you go. I appreciate that comment, Jay-Z Kirby. I love when you watch the show, Jay-Z Kirby. I do not think that the mayor will resign. If she's reelected but not voted mayor, I do not think she will resign. I think she'll make $18,000 instead of $20K. The mayor makes $20K. The city councilors make $18K. Almore County Board of Supervisors is like $16,000 and change. No one's getting rich doing this. Okay, running for public office is the antithesis of being an entrepreneur. The absolute antithesis of being an entrepreneur is running for public office, okay? But in the mayor's case, the $20K she's earning every year, this is her primary source of income. It's not Lloyd Snook's it's probably Michael Payne's primary source of income. It's probably Michael Payne's primary source of income, okay? I'm going to cut to the chase. This is the most important election in Charlottesville, Virginia history. That is not hyperbolized. That is not exaggerated. That is not me being over the top. You have a $15 million parking garage that's back in play. I'm about to tell you that. You got school reconfiguration. You got a West Main Streetscape project. You got a city manager that needs to be hired. You got statues still in parks. Those statues are still in the park, right? We're not even 4 years removed from August 12th, right? We're coming out of COVID. We have affordability issues that are more impactful than ever before, okay? The cost of living is higher than it's ever been. The affordability index is at the worst point that it's ever been in the 21 years I've been in this community. This is the most important election in Charlottesville, Virginia history, and it ain't even close. Questions, comments, concerns, put them in the feed. Questions, comments, concerns, put them in the feed. The next topic is one that you gotta hear to believe. Good Lord, I can't believe I'm about to say this. There's an elementary school. It used to be called Kale Elementary. Kale Elementary is down Avon Extended. Kale Elementary is a fantastic school. The reason I know this school is I used to live in Redfields down 5th Street Extended, and my son, my family, if we had not have moved to the east side of Albemarle, our little boy would have gone to Mountain View. So I started familiarizing myself with what Mountain View had to offer. Fantastic school, intimate school, charming school. It's the division's second largest elementary school with 662 students enrolled this year. Next year, officials are predicting 704 students enrolled at Mountain View. Unfortunately, the capacity of the school is 624. So if 704 are expected for this fall, 704, and the capacity of the school is 624, that means Mountain View is 80 people, 80 students over capacity, 80 tiny little guys and gals over capacity. Albemarle County is trying to solve this problem by taking the fifth graders. You got 115 fifth graders at Mountain View, 115. And they're saying to the moms and dads of the 115 fifth graders, your son and your daughter cannot learn in elementary school anymore. Your son and your daughter cannot be in the school they've called home since they were kindergarten. Your son and your daughter cannot ride the school bus with their friends anymore. Your son and your daughter have to go to middle school now because we're too crowded at Mountain View. Your son and your daughter are going to go to Walton Middle School with the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure there's a huge difference between a 5th grader and an 8th grader from a puberty standpoint, an emotion standpoint, the feelings that are running through your body. I remember when I started getting into 8th grade, I was a hot mess. Going through puberty, checking out girls, facial hair, all the jazz that comes with it. Huge difference between a 5th grader and an 8th grader. So to say to the moms and dads at Mountain View, don't worry about it. We got it figured out. Walton Middle School is under capacity. Let's just take your 5th graders and lump them in with the middle school students. It's all good. Don't sweat it. If that was said to me about my kid, and my kid's 3, he's not in 5th grade. But if my kid was in 5th grade, a rising 5th grader, and the school board or a principal or a board of supervisors said to me, don't sweat it. Your kid will just go to middle school. It's all good. I would be so freaking pissed off and livid. You're asking these 5th graders to spend more time than ever before on a school bus because the middle school bus route is a longer route from a time standpoint than the elementary school route. You're asking these 5th graders to go to a middle school that does not have a playground equipped for them. We all know that there's different size playgrounds for ages. You got the elementary school playground that's closer to the ground and a lot safer. The elementary school playground, probably a lot different than the middle school playground, right? You got a middle school library that's not equipped for 5th graders. Now, the school board and the school division and the municipality is saying, we'll bring some 5th grade books over to the library and create a 5th grade reading section in the library. That's bogus, dudes. That is absolutely bogus. That's called a Band-Aid fix. Now, here's what is really shocking, disturbing, demoralizing, disgusting, depressing, downright awful. At the same time that Albemarle County is admitting that Mountain View is overcrowded, and I just gave you the numbers, okay? The capacity of the school is 624. They're expecting 704 kids this fall. At the same time, they're admitting that we have capacity issues at this Southside Charlottesville Elementary School. The municipality, the Board of Supervisors, are considering approving an 85-unit housing development right next to the elementary school that will further pinch and put pressure on enrollment at said school. So let me scratch my head, take a step back and say, you got local government, you got a school board, a school division, and 6 Albemarle County Board of Supervisors that understand that Mountain View Elementary is 80 kids overcrowded. How they're going to try to solve this overcrowding is by sending the 5th graders to middle school. At the same time, they're having to force 5th graders to grow up faster, ride a bus with 8th graders, mature a hell of a lot faster in life, because a 5th grader is going to be around an 8th grader who has much more experience from a schooling standpoint, a birds and a bees standpoint, much more freedom from being able to do things after school or on the weekend standpoint than a 5th grader, more experience from a sports standpoint, an education standpoint. There's a huge delta between a 5th and an 8th grader. We're all in agreement there. At the same time they're acknowledging all this concern, they're considering an 85-unit development right next to the school that would put even more students in said school. Explain that to me. Explain how that's okay. Explain how we should not all be outraged by this. And you know what the hypocrisy of this is? You want to know the hypocrisy of all this? Do you think this would ever have been allowed at Meriwether Elementary? Do you think this would ever have been allowed at Henley Middle? At Brownsville Elementary? Do you think Westside, Ivy, would ever have allowed 5th graders to be jettisoned from an elementary school to a middle school because of overcrowding? The answer is hell no. HE double hockey sticks no. And we all that are listening to this program know I'm 100% right. On top of that, the matter is being compounded by development without consideration of infrastructure. This topic will be one on the I Love CVille show on Thursday with Paul McCarter. His daughter goes to Mountain View. He lives right next to the school in the Avinity development. The last layer to this onion is this. Actually, it's not even the last layer to the onion. There's many layers to this onion. Southwood, the Hispanic community in Southside Charlottesville, the students in Southwood whose parents may or may not know English, the students in Southwood who are ESL students, English as a second language students, they are the ones that are going to be burnt the most by this transition. They are the voiceless, the ones that are likely not to show up at Planning Commission and Board of Supervisor meetings and explain why this is an absolute travesty. After hearing this topic from every single side, I will make the community this promise. I will make Mill Creek this promise. I will make Lake Renovia this promise. I will make Avinity this promise. I will make Redfields this promise. Mosby Mountain this promise. I will make Mountain Valley Farm this promise. I will make Oak Hill this promise. Avinity this promise. If you guys elect me to the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors, I will be a champion for you and your students. Taking 5th graders out of elementary school and putting them in middle school because we cannot manage infrastructure is a shame at best. At worst, it hurts the educational development and maturation of these students. If you disagree with me, put it in the feed. If you agree with me, put it in the feed. If you were a mom and dad of a 5th grader, and someone in administration, a principal, or a school board member, or a board of supervisors said to you, mom and dad, your kid can't learn in elementary school anymore, he's got to go to Walton. How would you feel about that? How would you feel? It's important for us to fight battles that may not pertain to our families, because if we don't fight those battles that don't pertain to our families, eventually those battles will impact ourselves. And when those battles impact us and our families, and we don't show a history of fighting for other people and their battles, then we won't have anyone on our side when it's time for us to fight for something we believe in. Do you understand? We cannot, as Albemarle County residents and taxpayers, allow students to be ramrodded into schools that don't fit their age bracket. We have to stand up, and I promise you I will. Questions and comments, put it in the feed. This is an extremely difficult pill for me to swallow. Barbara Lundgren, welcome to the show. I love you, Barbara Lundgren. Bill McKenzie, hello and welcome to the broadcast. Michael Anderson, hello and welcome to the broadcast. Johnny Ornalis, I love when you share the show. We're going to talk El Mariachi in a matter of moments here on the show, Johnny Ornalis. All right, let's talk volleyball scandal, J-Dubs. Here's the nitty-gritty of the volleyball scandal. Do you remember about a month ago, the UVA volleyball season had its year cut mid-year? And then 2 days later, after the season was canceled by the athletic director at the University of Virginia, the entire coaching staff got pink-slipped and fired. Do you guys remember that? All of us were left scratching our head. We're like, what the HE double hockey sticks is going on here? Have you ever heard of a season in college athletics get canceled in the middle of the year and then the entire coaching staff pink-slipped 2 days later? Have we ever heard of that in college athletics? I'm not talking COVID-19 cancellations, okay? There's cancellations tied to a pandemic that the world's never seen before, okay? And did you hear Dr. Scott Gottlieb this morning on CNBC say that COVID-19, there's a very good chance that it had originated in a Wuhan lab, a virus that got out because Chinese scientists let it get out of the lab in Wuhan? Did you hear Dr. Scott Gottlieb say that on CNBC this morning? That this was a man-made pandemic and not one that originated with animals? That's a topic for a different day, okay? I cannot tell you if I have ever heard of a college athletic season canceled in the middle of the year when it's not tied to COVID. I cannot tell you if I've ever heard of an entire coaching staff be pink-slipped in the middle of the year 2 days after the cancellation of the season. But that happened here in Charlottesville about a month ago. Now we understand a little bit of what may or may not happen. This volleyball team on March 14th, so we're talking about 2 months ago, J-Dubs, they went down to South Beach, to sexy Miami, Florida, to play the Miami Hurricanes. They got their you-know-whats kicked. They lost 3-0. The coaching staff in the hotel room, after the team fell to 2-12 on the season and was literally winless in the ACC, had no wins in the ACC, the coaching staff did an all-hands-on-deck meeting at the hotel in South Beach. All the coaches, assistants, head coach, director of player personnel, operations, everyone was in the room. They closed the door. They had a coming to Jesus moment, and they said, what the heck are we doing here? Our team is 2-12 overall. We don't have a victory in the Atlantic Coast Conference. What do we do to turn this ship around? In the middle of that 3-hour closed-door meeting where all the coaching staff was in the hotel room, the volleyball players, yes, students at the University of Virginia, athletes at the University of Virginia, they took their phones and they started recording the conversation through the walls and the cracks of the door. One athlete put her phone on record mode at the bottom of the hotel room door, the crack between the door and the carpet. Another athlete, she held her phone in record mode right next to the doorknob of the door. That doorknob of the door has some cracking and some spacing for some audio to get to. 2 other athletes took their iPhones and they held them on either side of the wall. The hotel rooms on either side of that door, either side of the room where the meeting was happening. And they started recording the conversations of their coaches. Then the student athletes took the audio recordings to UVA's administration, athletic administration, as leverage, blackmail, extortion, whatever you want to call it. The nice word is leverage. The dirty word is extortion, okay? There's a very fine line between leverage and extortion and blackmail. A very fine line between leverage, extortion, and blackmail. After UVA's athletic department hears the audio recordings, they immediately cancel the season. And then a couple days later, they pink slip the entire coaching staff. Now, the University of Virginia is not releasing what was on those audio recordings. The University of Virginia is not releasing who did the audio recordings, the players' names themselves. The University of Virginia is not releasing much details of this situation outside of what I just relayed to you. You got an outside hitter, and I'm just using positions. I'm just talking out loud here. You got a setter, an outside hitter, maybe I forget what the other positions are called, a blocker, using James Bond tactics to get their coaching staff pink slipped. And then the season gets canceled in totality, and student athletes get the athlete scrubbed from the moniker, and they're left to be just students. Folks, welcome to the world we live in 2021, where anyone and everyone can be a private eye detective because they have an iPhone in their hands. Wow. Next topic is graduation. Graduation's over in Charlottesville. 2 back-to-back weekends of graduation here in CVille. They're behind us. Students are gone. Us locals can go to the corner again. We can get a burger at Boylan Heights, happy hour at Trinity. We can go to the Virginian for some fried mac and cheese. Andy McClure's got a great restaurant there. Maybe we go to the Biltmore for some, are they called Krusties, Andy? I think you call them, are they called Krusties at the Biltmore? Is that what you call them? Those pizza rolls? What do you call those darn things? Maybe some thumbs and toes. Maybe you get a pizza at Buddhist Biker Bar, Crozet Pizza, Jordan Brunk spot. Jordan Brunk, the new owner of Dirty Nelly's, by the way, also owns Buddhist Biker Bar. We can go to the corner again. Here's the question I have for you. What can we expect from Charlottesville now that graduation is over and we have the community to ourselves without 20, 25,000 students crowding us? Here are some of the ideas I had. A, we'll patronize the corner businesses again, my wife's son and I. We enjoy going to the corner. Some of the best times I've ever had in Charlottesville were spent on the corner while as a student of the University of Virginia. It holds a special place in my heart. The Virginian, the Biltmore, Crozet Pizza, Boylan Heights, Trinity, these spots are dope. A lot of them locally owned. I'm curious to see what's going to fill the Sheets. We let you know first on this network that the Sheets was piecing out of Charlottesville, the Sheets Cafe, because they can't make any money on the corner. Of course you can't make any money on the corner. You're a freaking gas station and you have no gas pumps. What the hell were you thinking, Sheets? I'm curious to fill what's going to fill the Sheet spot, which seems to be cursed to me. Greenskeeper was there, 3 was there, Jabberwocky was there, Eddie's Tavern was there, Pose was there, Sheets was there. Now it's going to be empty again in early June. What's going to fill that spot? As we head into the fall, the University of Virginia has given its students a deadline of early mid-July to show proof of vaccination. If you don't show proof of vaccination, you can't return to grounds. So what we can expect in this community this summer is a little bit of extra space to ourselves. And what we can expect in this community as we head into the fall is a little bit more security, safety, and relief for ourselves, because the students often who are not following COVID-19 protocols because they're 18 and 22-year-olds who only think of themselves and enjoy partying, fornicating, drinking beer, and living life to the fullest. That's college. Now, when they return to grounds, they have to show proof of vaccination. So moms and dads, sons and daughters, neighbors and friends, the fall is shaping up, the summer is shaping up to be safer, healthier, more patronized from a business standpoint than ever before. And for that, we breathe a sigh of relief. I certainly do. Next topic on today's program is a $15 million parking garage at the site of the Guadalajara and Lucky 7. Folks, this parking garage has been in the news cycle since Albemarle County's Board of Supervisors and the City of Charlottesville's counselors did a deal to keep the courthouses in downtown Charlottesville. It's been years we've been talking about this damn parking garage at the site of the Guadalajara and Lucky 7 on Market Street. I'm now hearing that this parking garage is not only back in play, but staff is asking for an immediate supplemental appropriation of $7 million to build their 306-space garage on the Lucky 7 Guadalajara site as originally planned. Staff in City Hall is fast-tracking a parking garage when it's all said and done that could have a price tag of close to $15 million. Folks, I don't know what the traffic situation is going to be in downtown Charlottesville. None of us do. None of us know how many of the businesses in the epicenter of employment, and downtown is very much an epicenter of employment. None of us know how many of these businesses are going to allow its employees to work in a hybrid, stay at home, or come to work partially capacity. $7 to $15 million, no one knows the exact number of what's going to be, is a lot of money. The city of Charlottesville yearly budget is just over $200 million. We're talking anywhere from 3 to 5, 6%, 7% of a yearly budget on this garage. Now, if the cars come back like they did prior to COVID, a garage like that may be needed. If the cars don't come back like they did prior to COVID because employers are allowing employees to work hybrid or from home more often, then perhaps that garage is not needed. My take as a businessman is let's wait and see what the marketplace tells us. Let's not allocate taxpayer dollars prior to assessing marketplace dynamics. Successful business owners and entrepreneurs assess the market, listen to customers, read the data, and then they make intelligent decisions. Successful entrepreneurs and business owners don't spend 5, 6, 7% of a yearly budget on something that may or may not be needed. I'm not pro-garage. I'm not anti-garage. This is my stance. Let's be patient. Let's hear what the marketplace is doing. Let's see the parking at the current structure. And let's use that data to determine the right decision. That's how I run my businesses. That's how I would run my campaign for Board of Supervisors. And if I'm fortunate enough to get elected, that's how I would manage your money, your taxpayer money. I'd spend it as if it was my own. I'd spend it carefully and cautiously by utilizing research, data, and listening to the market before making decisions of this magnitude. And that's called being fiscally conservative. And it's about damn time that our leadership in this region, our leadership in Albemarle, and our leadership in the city, it's about damn time they get a fiscally conservative perspective and frame of thinking. Because not maintaining a fiscally conservative mindset is a spit in the face to taxpayers. It's your hard-earned money. We'll follow the parking garage closely. Questions, comments, let us know. Put them in the feed. Still to come on this program, 7 states have a sizable portion of their population. 9 states have 70% of their adults either one-shotted or two-shotted from a vaccine standpoint. You got a diamond that sold for $29.3 million. We're going to show you that diamond here in about 8 minutes. And I'm going to give you an update on my campaign for Albemarle County Board of Supervisors, all on the I Love CVille Show. Judah, I'm going to get to some comments. I'm going to get to some questions. And I'm going to get to some concerns right now on the program. This is from Leslie. Jerry, I love your show. I'm watching in Crozet right now. You're exactly right. That would never be allowed in Meriwether. The parents would be outraged. Why this is happening at Mountain View, I don't know. But thank you for bringing this to our attention. I'm willing to help any way you need how. Thank you, Leslie. Imagine if you were the parents of these students and your 5th graders being asked to go to a middle school, ride a bus longer than he or she ever has in their life. Paul McCarter is going to join us on Thursday, one of the parents of a Mountain View Elementary student. I want to hear the perspective from a dad that has a home literally right next to the school and has a daughter enrolled in the school. I think it's important that we hear the perspective of the parents and not just get brainwashed or bamboozled by the perspective of the principal or the school division. And this is a topic, I'm going to bring this up many times. This is a topic that undoubtedly impacts the district where I'm running for Board of Supervisors, the Scottsville District. Donna Price, the incumbent, currently in office. We hope to hear from you on this topic, Donna. This is what leadership is about. You being transparent with your thoughts with your constituents and the folks that voted you into office. You owe that to us. Katie Pearl, my heart goes out to those families. I would be livid. This after they were robbed of about a year and a half of real elementary school experience. Katie Pearl, I'm liking your post. I should have added that into my perspective. The students lost a year and change of their... Oh my gosh. Can I stand up? Can I stand up? I'm getting fired up right now. Katie, thank you, Katie. Let's understand something here. All right, I'm taking a deep breath here. We have students for a year and change who've had to learn their ABCs and their 1, 2, 3s from the coat closet, from the powder room or the spare bedroom because of COVID-19. These students learn their ABCs and their 1, 2, 3s without being around their peers. You could make a very legitimate argument that these students in the last year and a half, from a social behavior standpoint and a maturation standpoint, may be behind because they haven't had the luxury of being in a classroom learning amongst their peers the right and wrong, how to be civilized, how to keep your hands to yourself, how to be respectful. So the first in-class experience one of the first in-class experiences these fifth graders are going to have, 115 of them, coming out of COVID, is going into a hallway of a school that they've never been in before. Being with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders on a bus that they don't know. Riding the bus longer than ever, going to a playground that doesn't fit their age, reading books in a library that's not set up for them from an educational standpoint. How is this not a bigger deal? Bill McKenzie says on the show, there is also a big difference between a fifth grader and a kindergartner. That's true. Barbara Lundgren says, Albemarle is always looking at numbers, not people's needs. Why not add trailers like at other schools? Perhaps the kindergartners and first graders would fit well in the trailers. I'll give you a like on that, Barbara Lundgren. Thank you for chiming in, BL. We love you, Barb. Johnny Ornelas says, the problem is every time the county looks to expand school buildings, they never look at the future. They always look at the present numbers. Why is it that our futures are at the hands of a budget that always cuts education? Johnny Ornelas, Johnny Ornelas, Johnny Ornelas. Good comment. Let's repeat Johnny's comment. The problem is every time the county looks to expand school buildings, they never look at the future numbers. They always look at the present numbers. Why is it that our futures are at the hands of a budget that always cuts education? Johnny, well done. Bill McKenzie says that is a wicked long bus ride from Southwood to Walton. Spencer Coppinger's watching this program in Belmont. He says, Jerry, this is the best show on air. Thank you for bringing us the news. You often talk about stuff I knew nothing about. And to the parents of fifth graders, be loud. You're getting wronged. Kay Lorick, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for watching on this beautiful, glorious day to be alive here in Central Virginia. Paul McCarter on Thursday to talk about this Mountain View drama. Let's get some positive news out there. 9 states in the free union have 70% of adults with either 1 shot or 2 shots in their arms. That's positive. Another piece of positive news. We're at an all-time low from a COVID-19 standpoint. An all-time low from a number standpoint. We are, and I'm knocking on fake IKEA right here. We are kicking COVID's ass. Positive news, positive news, positive news. How about that diamond that sold for $29.3 million, J-Dubs? Get that diamond on screen. Give me the thumbs up when that's on screen. Look at the screen. Everybody, look at the screen now. Look at the screen. Look at your screen anywhere you're watching. This diamond just sold for $29.3 million. It's a pink and purple diamond. This is the largest freaking diamond I've ever seen in my entire life. It is 15.8 carats. 15.8 carat diamond. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. Oh, it is beautiful. Sold for $29.3 million in Hong Kong. 15.8 carat purple and pink diamond on a platinum and gold ring. It's characterized as flawless. That is something special right there. If you give your better half, J-Dubs, a $29.3 million diamond that's 15.8 carats, I feel like you get a lot of man points or woman points in the bank, right? A lot of goodwill reserved with that, right? That is ginormous, boys and girls. Aaron King, Western Albemarle High School's finest alum. Welcome to the broadcast. Aaron King, I love when you watch the program, EK. Bill McKenzie says, it's unfortunate that you are not running for Charlottesville City Council. I live in Albemarle County. I cannot do that. If I lived in the city of Charlottesville, Bill, I would have run for city council. But I live in Albemarle County in the Keswick area. I still believe, and that leads me into my next topic. If I'm fortunate enough to get elected to the Board of Supervisors, and I'm counting on you guys to vote me in, I'm counting on you guys to vote me in. If I'm fortunate enough to get elected, you have my word as a man, as a father and a husband. You have my word that I would serve you in a fiscally conservative capacity. I would prioritize your present and your future as opposed to kicking the proverbial can down the road and saying, we'll solve it and figure it out next year or the other folks, or when the other folks get elected. Considering an 85-unit development next to a school that is bursting at the seams is piss-poor policy and leadership. Asking parents, many of them Southwood parents, English as a second language parents, parents that do not have the time, resources, or maybe the language skill set to speak in front of the Board of Supervisors or the Planning Commission, asking these Southwood parents just to roll with the punches is wrong. It's wrong. I feel for 115 kids and their families. I feel for them. Fifth grade is about as impressionable a time as you're going to find in life. These fifth graders are coming out of 14, 15 months of not being around their friends, not learning in a classroom the right ways to behave, not learning amongst their peers the social behavior cues you need to be successful in life. And now we're asking 115 fifth graders who spent a year and change in the coat room, the guest bathroom, the powder room, or the extra bedroom, learning their schoolwork. Now we're asking them to grow up real quick in middle school this fall. From my standpoint, that's wrong. That is wrong. Mill Creek, that is wrong. Lake Renovia, that is wrong. Foxcroft, that is wrong. Avinity, that is wrong. Mosby Mountain, Mountain Valley Farm, Redfields, Oak Hill Farm, Southwood, you guys are being wronged. That wouldn't fly on my watch. And to answer Bill's question, if I'm fortunate enough to get elected, I can assure you we'll work closely with council in Charlottesville to help improve this city as well. Oh, just so frustrating. I feel like it's all of our responsibilities to rally together and to stand up for what's right and to stand against what's wrong. Why do we have a park right next to Mountain View, Biscuit Run, that's over 1,200 acres, that's run and managed by the County of Albemarle, but none of us taxpayers can use it? Biscuit Run is larger than Walnut Creek Park and Pretty Creek Park combined. Biscuit Run is larger than both of those combined. Our tax dollars are being used to maintain a 1,200-acre park that we can't even enjoy. How is that okay? Here's my money, Albemarle County government. Use it to maintain the trees and everything else that you got to do in this park, but you're not going to give me access to it? Explain this to me. I learned this last week, 2 weeks ago. Did you know 24% of the cost of a home across Virginia, not just in Albemarle, not just in Charlottesville, but 24% of the cost of a home across the Commonwealth is tied to red tape and regulatory costs? Not lumber, not cement, not electrical, not roofing and framing, not foundation, not plumbing, not a backsplash, not appliances, not a beautiful countertop, or a nice little soaking tub, or some extra space in a closet. 24% of the cost of a home is tied to red tape and regulatory mumbo jumbo? What the F? It's no surprise we have an affordability issue. You build a $400,000 crib, and the $100,000 goes to nothing associated with the final product of the crib. What the F? We got to shake it up. And shake it up to it's an area we want. No? Am I wrong? Do you disagree? I feel for those fifth graders. I love you, Scott Williams. I love you, Scott Williams. I feel for those fifth graders. I feel for their parents. I feel for the teachers. I feel for the teachers. Why are we always doing this to teachers? Why are we always doing this to teachers? Hey, Walton Middle School, teachers, you're going to have 115 fifth graders in your school this fall. Hey, Walton Middle School, librarian. Hey, the librarian at Walton Middle School. You got 115 fifth graders that you're going to have to figure out some books for. Hey, Walton Middle School, physical education teacher. You got 115 fifth graders that you better figure out a curriculum for on the fly because they're coming whether you want it or not. Why do we do this? All right, I'm going to give you a dining experience that I enjoyed. You'll see these pictures all over the I Love CVille Network as well. Let's get them on screen. My wife, son, and I had one of the most fantastic dining experiences we have had in a really long time at El Mariachi in Zion's Crossroads. This restaurant is humongous. It is absolutely humongous. We felt safe the entire time. It's family owned by the Ornelas family, and the Ornelas family is as good as it gets. The queso fondito, you got that on screen? Rotate those photos. Put the queso fondito on screen. Was one of the best appetizers I've had in a really long time. It is so good. They have $14 pitchers of craft beer. We got the Basic City 6 Lord. We got a pitcher, an app, a couple of entrees, and a children's meal for 50, 60 bucks. The food came immediately. The waitress served it with a smile. If you haven't been there, you're missing a gem. El Mariachi. A gem. That's today's show. Put Thursday on your calendar, please. Thursday, Paul MacArthur is going to join us, a parent of a daughter at Mountain View. I want you to hear it from a dad, what he's going through. He lives next to the school in Avinity. He's a realtor. He's a father, husband, and he's concerned about what the county is doing to students. And he has the gumption and the courage to speak out on the show on Thursday. You know another wrinkle to this, another layer to this onion? You got 115 kids asked to go to a different school. You're putting more pressure on teachers. You're putting more pressure on librarians. You're putting more pressure on the building itself. You are asking students to ride the bus longer than they've ever been before. You're doing this right out of COVID, where students haven't been around their friends, so you can make a legitimate argument from a social development standpoint they're behind. No one's going to argue with me there. Then you got the housing issue. I am pro-housing. I am pro people having a piece of the American dream. And for so many of us, the American dream is still that white picket fence and a backyard for our kids to play in, and a house for us to live and put our heads on and go to sleep in and make memories in. A lot of us, that's the American dream, me included. I am pro people having the American dream. But folks having the American dream at the expense of students in present day, that's not good policy and leadership. You do the housing and you build the rooftops, but you damn sure make sure the roads and the schools and the infrastructure can accommodate the additional rooftops. Because if you just add the rooftops without considering the infrastructure, you're screwing everybody. You're screwing everybody. You're screwing everybody. That's the show. I'm Jerry Miller. Happy Monday to you.